Hello everyone, welcome to the program. I am Yemisi Lanre Ido. Nigeria's general election is just a few days away, and on Business Nigeria today, we continue to set agenda for the incoming government. And one such area is the country's quarantine service. Many will think their role is mostly about how plant and animal diseases are curtailed, but they are also charged with the responsibility of promoting agricultural exports, and already plans are underway as the quarantine service intends to launch its export certification value chain. The Director General will be joining me to discuss this and some other issues concerning Nigeria's export when it comes to agriculture. Welcome once again. Well, first off, let's bring you this news. The federal government has signed a $30 billion agreement with investment partners to boost industrial revolution and export earnings from made-in-Nigeria products. Now, the deal was signed in Abuja by Africa Export and Import Bank, Africa Finance Corporation, African Development Bank, Bank of Industry, and Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. Well, this marks the preparation of the commencement of Nigeria Industrial Revolution Plan as conceived in the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The project aims to position Nigeria as a manufacturing hub in sub-Saharan Africa and the world. Investment projects are expected to take off in Abia, Katsina, and Lagos states. And still talking exports, the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, NEPC, is positive of increase to non-oil export growth this year, as it is re-strategizing for enhanced service delivery. Well, the CEO, Olusegun Awolowo, was speaking about this.
All things being equal, we target at least a 20% increase. And that is going to really work now because in the next 1 week, Mr. President is going to be launching the new export credit certificate and the promissory note certificate. The promissory note is the indebtedness we carried over as our incentive to exporters. The president has graciously approved, and we're looking at some 350 billion naira worth of promissory notes that will go out to exporters.
Well, aside plans by the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service to launch its export certification value chain, the agency says Nigeria is also set to penetrate the Indian and Chinese crop market worth over $100 billion with exports such as pigeon pea, sorghum, and groundnut. According to the Director General, Dr. Vincent Isegbe, the result of recent surveys of pigeon pea and sorghum crops will pave a way for Nigeria to enter the multi-billion-dollar market in Asia, catalyzing the export potentials of Nigerian agricultural resources. All right, we'll be bringing you the DG, National Agricultural Quarantine Service himself, Dr. Vincent Isegbe, to talk to us about this latest development. Just last year, we saw non-oil exports dropping from about 577 billion naira in the first quarter to about 163 billion naira. Already the government has been doing so much in this direction, and there are lots of agricultural produce Nigeria needs to export. From the story we just read, we see export in pigeon pea, sorghum, groundnut. In yam already, we have that. But Nigerian farmers can get more value when they export their processed goods rather than sending them out in raw form. Well, we'll be talking to him more about this. But just before that, let's bring you some more news. All right, I'm told the DG Quarantine Service All right, let's join Director General, National Agricultural Quarantine Service, Dr. Vincent Isegbe, joins me from our Abuja studios. Many thanks for joining us, Dr. Isegbe. Yes, non-oil export dropped from over 577 billion naira first quarter last year to about 163 billion naira. That was a huge drop, and there are lots of agricultural produce Nigeria can export. Now, since your appointment, you've initiated new ways of promoting and expanding Nigeria's agricultural commodities. Tell us about this.
Well, it's off.
Dr. Vincent Isegbe, I was asking you about your initiatives that you have launched since your appointment as the DG of the Nigeria Quarantine Service. Well, we'll get back to that story. But before that, the Central Bank of Nigeria is ready to mop up 1.6 trillion naira excess liquidity in the interbank money this month. And this comes amidst rising business confidence over improved macroeconomic conditions during the month. The Apex Bank Business Expectation Survey is giving us more details in this direction. And it says that in January, it showed that increased growth in the economy with overall confidence index of February rose to about 62.1% from 25.9% for January. Experts, talking about economic experts, they are expecting a total inflow of about 2.33 trillion naira now to hit the money market from various maturing government securities and, of course, the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee this month. They are also expecting improved liquidity condition and moderation in the cost of funds. Let's also get some other news outside Nigeria now, and that's coming from Zimbabwe. The Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers say the retail sector growth is declining, and that's due to high inflation and widening rift between prices and incomes this year. Well, that's coming from the president of the Confederation in Zimbabwe, Demford Mutashu. He says 2019 started off with high inflation, not so good for retail sector growth, not even good at all. And data from the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency corroborates that. It says the country's year-on-year inflation rate increased to 42.01% last December. That's a very high one, and perhaps the highest in Africa. And last month, the country witnessed protests against hike in prices of fuel and general economic decay. Well, at this point, we'll have to take a break, and when we return, we'll get back to the DG of Nigeria's Quarantine Service to talk to us about the responsibility of that agency when it comes to export promotion. Hello, Dr. Vincent. Hello, Dr. Vincent.
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Vincent.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I will join you shortly now.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, let's go to him, please. You're watching Business Nigeria. We'll be talking about the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service and its plans to launch its export certification value chain, and also its plan when it comes to promotion of agricultural products and for exports in Nigeria. Well, let's talk to the DG, National Agricultural Quarantine Service. Dr. Vincent Isegbe joins me from our Abuja studios. Thank you for joining us. I was saying earlier that non-oil export dropped from over 577 billion naira to about 163 billion naira in the first quarter last year. Talking about agricultural produce in this area, Nigeria needs to export more. Now, since your appointment, you've initiated new ways of promoting agricultural produce. Tell us about this.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your studio.
Yes, let's know about your plans for exports when it comes to agricultural commodities.
My appointment, we've set up what we call the Export Improvement Initiative and the Export Certification Value Chain. In each of those programs, we identified high net worth agricultural export produce that we can put into the international market. I will go about this by letting the farmers know, who are the primary producers anyway, that these are the standards that they need to exhibit right from the farm level up to the export certification decks. And that is what we are doing in collaboration with state governments, with export associations, with producers associations, and with suppliers association. That means that in doing that, everybody along the value chain knows exactly what he or she is supposed to do, so that at the export desk, we don't have challenges with rejecting commodities that people have suffered along the value chain to produce and then bring for export. We are identifying commodities like turmeric, which is medicinal, ginger, which we're already producing and exporting, cinnamon, which is good for tea and is medicinal as well. We're looking at issues of like honey and snails too. These commodities abound in this country, exactly what he or she is supposed to do, so that at the export desk, we don't have challenges with rejecting commodities that people have suffered along the value chain to produce and then bring for export. We are identifying commodities like turmeric, which is medicinal, ginger, which we're already producing and exporting, cinnamon, which is good for tea and is medicinal as well. We're looking at issues of like honey and snails too. These commodities abound in this country, but there are various criteria for their export. Take the case of snail. Some countries will take fresh snail. Others will only take either frozen or fried or dried. So we need to let the farmers and the exporters know that these are the conditions for which you can export those commodities. And of course, there's a sanitary and phytosanitary conditions respective for each of those commodities. Those are the things we are highlighting along the export improvement and the export certification value chains.
Okay, Nigeria still has the issue of getting low value for its products, exported products, and that's because it exports mostly in raw materials, not talking about the processed form. What are you doing in this area to ensure farmers process their products so as to get a higher value for them? Dr. Vincent is
Yeah,
saying... Okay.
you are right. Yes, you are right. Most of the commodities that we produce for now go for export as raw agricultural produce. Take the case of cashew nuts. Walnut has placed a very large order for dried and roasted cashew nuts. We are not able to meet that order because we don't have the industry that can roast and process the cashew nuts the way we want. But the Honorable Minister for Agriculture has taken that bold step to put in place, machinery that can roast the cashew nuts and export so that we can get value for our produce. And that is what is being done. It's not only cashew nuts alone. Take the case of hibiscus too. We have gone ahead to ensure that the Farmers Export Association have registered, and so that they do exactly what we want to do. Remember that in 2017, in 9 months alone, between January and September 2017, Nigeria exported 35 million US dollars worth of hibiscus to just one country, Mexico. So it's important to let people in the value chain know that these are areas that they can invest. One of the value chain that people can invest in is cold chain. Others is processing those commodities so that we can get value for them. Others is in haulage, providing good haulage vehicles that people can move their produce from one place to another. And if everybody along the value chain or in this country picks one of the specific value chain, the country can be better off for it.
Yes, Nigeria is like the third largest exporter or largest market for Asian markets. And I could see that you're trying to penetrate the Asian market. Let's talk about some of this produce. Nigeria is also the largest producer or the second largest producer of sorghum after the United States. What are the plans put in place to ensure that we increase the level of exports this year?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. Nigeria has just finished what we call the pest crop assessment for sorghum with the Chinese government. And we finished an OPAD and we are going to sign the agreement, the memorandum, any moment from now. The Chinese people are going to establish 5 forage sorghum plantations in the country. And that means a lot of activity for the farmers, for everybody along the value chain. So the export of sorghum to China is going to increase 5-fold just by that singular action of the Chinese government and business. And there are many other commodities for which quarantine is responsible for doing the pest risk analysis. It's a requirement of the international community and by the International Plant Protection Convention that the quarantine service does that pest risk analysis to ensure that commodities from Nigeria are safe for export to the individual countries of request. We've done that for chili pepper, we've done that for groundnut, for sorghum recently now, and we are doing much more and more. India we did for pigeon pea, and there's a market for 100 billion US dollars of Nigerian pigeon pea that can be bought by the government of India or the business in India. So it's a requirement for us. We have sufficient scientists who are involved in doing the analysis, and we're repositioning so many other commodities ready for such, so that any country of intent can export these commodities from Nigeria.
Well, unfortunately, we do not have enough time to go on with the details that you have for us. I would have to thank you on this, Dr. Vincent Segbe, the DG, the DG NAQS, that's the quarantine service for Nigeria. Thank you so much. Well, let's head over to the Nigerian stock market where Effiong Ekop is standing by to bring us details of today's transactions at the Nigerian stock market. Yes, following 5 consecutive sessions in positive territory, the NSE Offshore Index gained about 2.9% last week. Effiong, tell us, how did it close today? Did it persist on that positive sentiment?
Yemisi, good afternoon. Indeed, the market has started another round of positive transactions. This Monday, we saw the market close nearly 1% up, taking 0.8 0.80% in the afternoon. Against all kinds of forecasts, the market is giving surprises from different subsectors. Let me bring Dele Sanusi, a dealer from Camry Securities. Dele, welcome.
Thank you.
Surprises here and there. Since last week, when the market now stunned analysts by reeling very high, and it even left the high cap securities and then was concentrating with the medium-scale securities. What is the reason for this kind of behavior?
Actually, if you look at the behavior, what is happening in the market is someone, let me use the word abnormal. Because toward the election, generally, the price ought to share, the price of the stock ought to go down, they need to share their price. Then later after the election, we can have a kind of, rally. But this time around, we can see that the something has gone beyond a kind of the analysis, the normal norm. So we can see that the political risk attached to all this investment is very low now. That means that our election is going to come out very well, there will not be fight, so people can sit down. Then as a result of that, they can come to the market and take the position before the election.
Do we have at the back of our minds that the foreign investors, they have returned, they have taken positions on the stocks that are really very cheap?
Also, if you look at the market, the way, apart from the stock I've been seeing, I get what I'm saying now, the foreign investors also, they are looking at what is happening in our country. Gradually, they may be coming in. And you will not even know that they are started coming unless by the time I look at the data that will definitely, because of the volume that's been traded and the value, then we can now say that they are coming in gradually. But it's not far-fetched that they have started, coming in.
But how do we explain that the market is now embracing so much of the medium-scale securities? The high-cap stocks throughout last week, only very few of them came, to the trading floor. So why do we say this?
Okay, now if you look at the medium-cap stock, look at their price also is still fair, and also if you look at their 22-week high, so some of them they are seeing about 50% discount compared to 52 high. I talk about them in the highest price they has done for the last 1 year. Some of them are far below that. So people will still prefer to go down. Go for them because they are very low compared to the highest, peak that they have got into in the last 1 year.
Okay, let's go to the board now, the closing gap. Let's position United Capital, which is taking the highest price gain. What's special about United Capital?
If you look at the market, all the stock that gained today, I get what I'm saying, it's just because of the rally that we have started seeing about a week ago. Talk of UCAP have a good result, but generally, what we need to summarize is just because of the rally that is happening, and there's something that we call multiply effect. If this one is going on, there's a tendency also that some of them also we want to follow the trend. But
do we need to relate it to its parent body? That's the UBA.
If you look at UBA also is going up. Today it closed very high, and they have been going down before. And as I've said before, they have a fantastic result. The balance sheet is okay, and their results okay. So as a result of that, people will still prefer to get them. Okay,
let's turn our attention to USC property.
UAC property, if you look at the price, for some time you have been going down. So you have been going down, the price have been moving down. So, but for now, the price is still okay. It's still very, low. So that, investors, they normally look for a low price where they can put their money.
Unilever gave us 5%, performance on the chart. Do we think that Unilever will drop anything substantial for
the result,
investors?
The third quarter result of Unilever is one of the results that are very, very good. So really? For you to be behaving like that it's still okay. It's still okay.
Okay.
It's still okay, yes.
Oh, okay. Dele, we don't have much time again, so let's leave it there. Many thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Dele Sanusi has been my guest, and we've been looking at market close this Monday. Back to you, Yemisi.
Yes, Effiong, the elections just a few days away, and hopefully investors would take position as we go on post-election. Well, crude prices have dipped at the international market as oil dealers study supply lines, and disturbing news from the industry hints of U.S. efforts to stabilize OPEC in order to get cheaper oil. Reports say the American government is making moves to sue OPEC members, accusing them of manipulating international oil prices. Now, OPEC had reduced output by 1.2 million barrels per day since early January, helping to wedge price. Well, that's business for today. I am Yemisi Landry Ido.